So, I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a live today. And that is because my intention of going inward and spending the day alone and really just taking care of myself, I thought that, okay, I'm just not going to be engaged online. I'm not going to be trying to share anything. I'm not going to be able to, all the things. I wasn't going to do a live today. But I've been piecing together a lot of things that I've been wanting to share for a while. And I have this feeling within me that all those things really, really need to be said and shared. And it's a part of who I am to share these things with you. And if you're watching, please say hello. You don't have to, of course. Um, so I want to talk a little bit about, there's a lot of stuff that has happened in the last many thousands of years that is they are things that we don't want to see. For the most part, most of humanity does not want to know that there are certain things that happen, the really dark parts of humanity. There are things that are really hard to talk about, really hard to look at, things that people want to say are an anomaly, say are things that happen only within individual families, with individual people, things that happen, that are really dark, that are unimaginable. Okay? There are a lot of things that people do not want to see and do not want to have to integrate within themselves, because that would mean completely changing their entire worldview and how they see the world and how they see themselves in the world. And the last 2 years for me, and a little bit before, I would say a little bit before, but really the last 2 years for me has been this eye-opening experience of things that are really, really hard for my being to process. But I've known that it's important to bring those things to light within my own consciousness and my own awareness. It's been really important to do that. And when sharing these things, and I think that some of you might know what I'm talking about, in sharing these things, it's very difficult for me to even share things, because a big part of me is still wanting to be seen as a well-balanced and grounded individual. And a lot of these things, when someone else takes that information and begins to process it, it becomes outright rejected because it appears to be not grounded in reality. Because maybe their reality is what they see in front of them and what they experience in front of them, but that reality is not real. People that watch the news, for example, watch mainstream news every day or even once a week, or they get their information through that lens, that is their reality. So that means that things that I might be sharing and things that I am experiencing firsthand in the way that I interact with the world seem unreal because their reality is what they see in front of them. So another part of this is when you're starting to look at things going on in the world that are really hard to look at and really hard to process, it brings up a lot within yourself that you have to look at and you have to process, because it shows you how you've been a part of that system. You've been a part of that programming. And really realizing that you've been a part of the programming and acknowledging that is an important step in the process of integrating your own dark side, integrating your own shadow. There's some things that are coming up with me lately that I'm like, wow, I am still in a place of wanting to check out sometimes because it can seem too much, and to really be there and be present and be aware is very, very hard unless you have the tools to support you in that. And I am actively working on incorporating those tools so that I can be there and be conscious fully when I am engaging with someone else, so that I can stay in my own sovereignty when I am speaking about certain subjects and not just say things in order to please the other person, say things to show them what they want to see. And that makes me then that may trigger the people that are watching and the people that are listening. And it's hard. It's hard to be the person that does that. But if you've gotten through to a certain point that you can be with that and be okay with someone else's uncomfortability and staying true to yourself, then that's really important. And I'll give you an example of something that I've actually, that has come up within my system recently. And I want to share it with you because it's really important for me to express like where I am in my own life and how I'm doing my work and business in the world. So I decided to transition my business into really a way to get out of the current financial system and how it works. And it's interesting that I'm doing this now because it's actually been a year and a half since I began working on a course that I was going to share with you all and hope to have people engaged with it. And the course was going to be called Sacred Sovereignty. And I had all of these different themes within my course, different topics that were going to be discussed. And one of those that came up for me was financial sovereignty. Okay. Now, I got really, really stuck at this one because I didn't feel like I was at a place where I could actually teach about financial sovereignty. I liked the idea of it, but I had no way of actually teaching financial sovereignty because I wasn't at a place of integrity within myself where I could share that with other people. And even other aspects of the course, energetic sovereignty, even, they were things that I wanted so desperately to have and to be able to claim that I am fully energetically sovereign. But there are still things that were there were parts of my life where I was still not energetically sovereign. A lot of things, things with my boundaries and being able to stay in integrity in my energies with other people. And so I felt at the time that I was not really able to host that course, to completely be in integrity. And integrity is really important to me. Being in integrity with my work, with the people that I work with very closely and intimately, it's been really important for me to be in integrity with what I do. So there's a reason why I haven't been launching lots of courses and programs and things like that, because I was still and am still working on my own stuff, right? But what I've recently learned and been kind of validated from other people is that the fact that I have not gotten to a place where I feel fully confident does not mean that I cannot lead or facilitate or guide others in a place where they can be in full confidence within themselves. And the fact that I'm at a certain place in my own growth, my own spiritual development and growth, means that I know what it's like to not feel empowered at all, and to feel like you have to do something for someone else. For example, you have to give of yourself so much so that it's draining to you, or that you have to be in a certain relationship with someone because of whatever reason, or that you have to be a certain way with the opposite or same sex, for example. And I, I am still in the process of unraveling all of those things within my own life. So I wanted to share that. So going back to things that you might feel when those things start to happen, when you start to become aware and become conscious of things that have happened in history, things that are happening currently that are not so pleasant to look at and think about, it really forces you to look at your own self and ways in which you've actually contributed to this, that you've contributed to this massive programming within society through what you consumed when you were younger. I'm not just talking about food, but what you consumed, with entertainment, the rituals that you engaged in on a daily basis, the things that you believed because they were told to you by your parents, by people on the news, by your teachers, all of those things. So it really unearths within you what you've been conditioned to believe about everything in your life. And that is really, really hard to look at if you're not ready to really go and look at that within your own life. So something that I have been really grappling with, and I'd like to share now, and it's actually very hard for me to share, and I've been wanting to talk about something totally different, actually, than this topic, is the oh my gosh, You know what? I have to end this video right now because I have to pee. Um, but to be continued. If you want to listen to more, I'm going to make another video. So I can't stop in the middle of this live, but I'm going to end it right here. To be continued.